Cooking
Alright, boys.
Looking.
Welcome back to the Lifted Lifestyle Podcast. I didn't post yesterday.
Post what?
A pod. So I think I might have accidentally
What do you mean you didn't post a pod?
yesterday. I normally post on Mondays.
We post
6
on
a.m.
Fridays, don't we?
Wait.
Yeah, we post on
Oh
Friday.
yeah, never mind. We post on Fridays.
What is bro
Sorry, I've
saying?
lost it. It's because I need a money right now.
Yeah, not already had a Red Bull or coffees.
Today we're going over, should you should you be dieting? Are you fat or are you skinny fat? Have you come to the end of your gaining phase? Lots of different scenarios.
And we've actually got a structure.
Yeah, another structured pod. But it's probably going to go on a load of...
We'll just go on a ramble as usual.
Yeah, sorry in advance.
That's the best way to go, man.
Yeah. But I mean, we've been through basically every training or physique scenario possible at this point. We've both been little skinny dweebs.
Big skinny dweebs.
We've both been big man tings.
Big fat dweebs.
Yeah, we've both been quite fat. Probably a good 20 kilos overweight, but all for a good cause. So yeah, we're going to go through each little sector of the journey of your potential lifting career if you're into the gym. And
well, hopefully they are if they're listening to the pod.
yeah, maybe they just like us.
True, we are quite likeable characters.
So yeah, we'll go through every scenario and hopefully give you a few tips along where. So first of all, when should you diet? Question one. You're starting out your training journey. There's probably a few questions coming up. You're watching a few little how to get a six-pack in 5-minute videos on YouTube.
Yeah, and then you're doing like 1,000 sit-ups in your bedroom.
Yeah, in your bedroom,
midnight,
trying to make no noise, like
sharp exhale.
so your mum doesn't hear you. That's what I do anyway. Maybe I'm just a bit weird. So yeah, you've kicked off your training journey. What do you think you should be asking yourself? Whether to cut or whether to bulk?
Yes, it's a big common
It is
question.
the question.
Are you asking me?
Yeah, I'm asking you.
So in my personal humble opinion,
This is lovely.
wait,
Ultra
hopefully
strawberry
that-
dreams.
yeah, it's good, isn't it? It's very nice.
Yeah.
Anyway, in my personal opinion, I think we say this a lot, but it all comes down to the position that you're currently in. Okay, so let's take HL, for example, as the coach in this situation. I'm going to be client in this situation. So I go to HL. Let's say I'm 15 kilos, like, overweight.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm a little bit on the softer side.
Yeah.
Got some body fat that I don't want, but I want to grow tissue.
Yeah.
Right? If you were to then, as a coach, put me straight into a gaining phase, in my opinion, that would be very, very unproductive.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think a lot of people that I get on board, for example, Ollie, that's just started, he was at a position where he was saying he wants to get a little bit leaner. He was saying he wants to put on muscle. So it's like a bit of a double whammy.
Yeah.
Which one do you try and do the most first? Because if you're just starting training, you're going to gain muscle if you're in a diet or a gaining phase anyway. But what is most important? And I think the first thing is, even if you are 15 kilos overweight or classed as 15 kilos overweight, I can't really tell anything without actually seeing the rig.
Yeah.
So your first point of call for a coach, or if you're doing this yourself, is
Physique assessment.
actually have a look at yourself. And realistically, if you're thinking, I look fat, then you should probably diet. There's obviously going to be some mental confusion for some people. But if you sat there and you're looking down at your belly and you can't see your toes,
or your cock,
you probably need to diet. But yeah, I'd have a look at Leo as coach and think, does he need to lose body fat to make him feel better, or do you need to gain muscle to make you feel better?
Yeah, I also think, you know how you just use, what was his name? Ollie. I don't know Ollie, but with someone's goals where they come to you originally and they say, okay, I want to be leaner and I want to be bigger, a lot of the time, even if they've got a lot of training experience, they're not going to grow much muscle in a dieting phase.
Yeah.
Actually dieting, obviously you're going to be losing fat.
Yeah.
So you are going to feel bigger
Yeah.
at the end of the phase anyway. So
unless your name's HL, then
yeah, you just
doesn't
lose
work.
all your muscle. Actually going through the diet straight away will also just make you feel bigger.
Yeah.
Like that goal that they want to achieve is achievable by just dieting.
Yeah.
Because obviously you're going to get rid of fat, you're going to see more muscle.
What I will say is definitely don't sit on the fence, especially if you're at the
Yeah.
start of your training career. Because I think it's very easy. Maybe once you've been training a good few years, you gain a good amount of muscle, you can then hit the maintenance block and just gradually, really slowly increase your body weight, grow muscle, and always look good.
Yeah.
365.
I think that's an issue as well, where people, they first start and they've got that goal in mind of, well, they don't know whether they should cut or bulk, and then they're like, oh yeah, see, people say this to me all the time. It's like, I'm gonna bulk up for 6 weeks and then I'm gonna cut, and I'm like, you're probably not gonna make really any progress within that 6 weeks. You're sort of just putting off the inevitable that you are gonna have to diet to get then to a point where you can grow from.
Yeah, I think if you don't have a clear direction as well, you start losing motivation.
Yeah,
and then
definitely.
You're like, oh, what's going on? And then you basically just sack it off anyway.
Yeah, if you've got 6 weeks in a gaining phase and you know you're going to be dieting, you're not really going to be all in on that gaining phase.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Just bite the bullet.
If you're deciding then which one you should go for, if you are definitely overweight because of you've got too much body fat, I would recommend dieting first. You're probably still going to gain some muscle. Generally, you're going to get quick progress fast. Motivation is going to be flying.
Yeah.
And then you're into your lifelong career of trying to look better.
And I think people are almost ashamed of going to a coach and admitting that they want to diet or they need to diet.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing wrong with being a little bit overweight or not where you want to be.
Yeah.
Like, there is nothing wrong with that. Sometimes you just got to sort of say, okay, am I happy with where I'm at currently? If the answer's no, go and get someone to help you out.
Yeah.
And don't be ashamed of being overweight. Like,
I think
it's such a weird thing. Like, people are like, oh, I'm overweight, so I'm embarrassed to get help.
Yeah.
Like,
even if it's not the overweight thing, like, I think a lot of people, there's this strange culture of like not wanting to improve.
Yeah, they don't want to improve in any
why.
way. People are just really happy to be.
Like, it's okay
stagnant.
to diet. It's okay to try to gain muscle.
Yeah.
Purely for the vanity of wanting to look and feel better.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, it's quite nice.
Like,
I don't know why you wouldn't.
If you're thinking, oh, I want to go to the gym to look big and look good, but you're scared of what people are going to say and think you're like arrogant or whatever.
I rate it from 71-year-old bro.
Yeah.
He messaged me this morning off the back of he's done our Kickstarter course thing. Yeah. He messaged me and he was like, I'm looking to put on some muscle, lose some body fat, especially my beer belly. And I was like, I rate it.
Yeah,
Thanks for being
embraced
honest.
It, yeah.
Yeah. So then for the guys that are skinny fat, they've not got much muscle at all, and they have a bit of body fat. I think that's where the blurred lines come in a little bit.
Yeah, I think this is probably the more common thing.
Because you can say, okay, if you're definitely fat, diet. If you're definitely very skinny, and you can see sort of muscle definition
everywhere,
there, but there's not much
mass.
of it.
Yeah,
of course, going to a gaining phase.
Yeah.
But if you've got a bit of both, it's a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, it is more difficult, and again, I think it's going to be person dependent on the actual how they actually do look. Like, are they actually skinny fat? But again, I always think the most productive thing is going to be diet straight away. And again, if they're like this like skinny fat, quote unquote, they're not fat. They're not like fat, so they're not going to need to go through a long diet. You could probably do 6 to 8 weeks of dieting, and then bang, you're going to be in a position where you can grow from productively.
Yeah, I think the two things. First of all, if you are skinny fat and you're dieting, don't be dieting to try and find abs, because you're gonna have to get so lean to do that, because you've just not got the muscle there. I mean, I've still not got enough muscle on my midsection to have a full on 6-pack.
Yeah.
I probably could if I dropped another 10 kilos.
Yeah, but it's not
start
for
feeling
your
rubbish.
goals. It's not. It's not productive, is it?
So don't necessarily just be like really focused on getting a 6-pack, because for some people you need to gain muscle first.
You do actually need ab muscle.
And then the second thing is, if you are skinny fat, I don't think many people talk about this, you should probably look at other things that are going on to decide whether you need to diet or not. So if you're skinny fat and you've got really low energy, and you know you're struggling throughout the day, maybe you don't eat very much already, you're doing like 2,000 steps a day, then in that instance, looking at the other data, I'd probably actually go into a gaining phase. But if you're skinny fat and you feel mint and you're eating quite a lot and everything's absolutely fine, your training's progressing nicely, then you can get away with dieting and not risk any losing muscle.
Yeah, I think for a lot of people as well who are in that situation, like you said, just improving on a few of those like variables are going to make a huge difference to how you look. Like if your nutrition quality is pretty shit and you make it good, and your training's not great and you make it good, you're going to go through sort of like a recomp and you're going to look so much better for it. So again, it's quite a broad topic, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that sums it up. Should you diet or not? If you're obviously fat, diet. If you're obviously skinny, gain. If you're somewhere in the middle, assess other things like your energy, your sleep, where your nutrition's at, and then if it's all in a good position, you can probably diet.
Yeah.
If it's not in a great position, get gaining, get strong, and then you can diet a little bit later down the line.
And if you want more help, link in bio. Or even, honestly, if people send their physique through and a little bit of data and say, can I have some advice? We would both be very happy to give you some free advice.
Yeah, just don't do it on a Monday, because I've got like loads of check-ins. So, okay, so let's say then you've decided to get into a gaining phase. You're one of these skinny guys, or maybe you're a skinny fat bro that's decided to get into a gaining phase. I was there.
Yeah, it's not funny because it is a serious.
Yeah,
it's a serious.
I was
thing.
a skinny fat bro at one point. I was also skinny. I was also fat. So,
can being all three.
Yeah. So you've decided to go into a gaining phase. Let's say you're 3 or 4 months in.
Yeah.
Gained a lot of muscle. You've also gained a bit of body fat.
Yeah.
This is the next question of, should you diet? When should you diet going through a gaining phase? And this is where the old mini cut can sometimes come in.
Love that shit.
AKA, you've got a holiday in 3 weeks, so you really
mini
want to
cut
be
turns
dialed.
into getting peeled.
Yeah, might just do a few more weeks. So yeah, when would you do a mini cut?
So again, varies person to person on their goals. So let's say if they've gained a good amount of tissue, but they're still not where they want to be, or you personally don't think they're where they need to be, I think you need to ask the question, okay, is the mini cut going to be beneficial? Like, for a start, are they actually softer than they should be or need to be? Like, do they actually need to diet? Probably not.
Yeah.
So it's a case of, don't be like scared to push a little bit further before you mini cut. Like, just because we said like 3-4 months doesn't mean you have to then mini cut. So actually, again, assess your physique. Ask someone that you trust, see what they say, and don't be scared to carry on pushing up. But if you are, sorry, this really annoys me. I can always just see it.
The mic.
I know.
You can put it a little bit further away.
There?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. But if you are in a position where you are a little bit softer, and you're not that happy with where you are and you want to diet, then I'd say, again, if your goal is to still build more muscle, get in and out of the diet as quickly as possible.
Yeah, let's outline what a mini cut actually is. So, I mean, clue is in the name.
It's mini and it's a cut.
It's mini and it's a cut. So, it's basically a very, very short and aggressive cut. And the reason that you can be aggressive is because it's short. So you're not going to lose a load of muscle.
Yeah. And you've got a little bit of body fat, so you can be aggressive with it and not feel like poo.
Yeah. So let's say you're on, you got up to 3,000 calories in your gaining phase after a good few months. The mini cut would be, okay, how can I lose basically as much body fat as possible without losing muscle
in the shortest time frame.
Yeah. So you might go from like 3,000 calories down to 2,000.
Yeah.
Slash it. Lose a load of body fat very quickly, and the purpose is to set you up for a continued gaining phase, so you can continue to put on muscle and basically not waste time. Yeah. Now, I've done a mini cut before for 6 months, and that was a little bit too long. So don't make my mistake and extend it for too long.
Yeah, if you're gonna do it, just have the approach. Okay, I'm going to be really dialed in now. 6 to 8 weeks, and get it done as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I think general guidelines as well. I tend to not try to lose more than like 10% of your body weight.
Yeah,
because then it's just a full blown diet.
Yeah, like you got to remember what is the goal of the mini cut.
Yeah,
is not to get peeled. It's just to get you into a more responsive position to then push up. Which, again, your mini cut doesn't always have to be off like your actual visual data. Yeah. Like I've seen, what's his name? Josh Campbell. He's doing a mini cut, and it's like quite a good example because he still had like, pretty dug out hamstrings, like lines in his glutes, abs. But his appetite was shit. His energy wasn't great. Sleep wasn't great. So if all those biofeedback markers are a bit skewed, then again, that's a good opportunity just to have a little reset.
Yeah.
And get back into things.
That's what it is, isn't it? It's like combining, do I actually look too fat now?
Yeah.
And then also all the other stuff.
All the other variables.
If everything else going in the bin.
Yeah. Like I can think of so many times where I've been in a gaining phase, and it would have been productive, not even from a visual standpoint, but just from a mental standpoint and all these other like biofeedback markers to just pull back. Even if that's the reason, you could even just pull back for 3-4 weeks.
Yeah.
Because the main one for me, I think, in a gaining phase is appetite majority of the time.
Yeah.
If you've been pushing food for a long time, your appetite's going to be pretty bin.
I personally
don't
have that problem.
Yeah. To be fair, I haven't for a long time, but...
In fact, I did when I was very big.
Yeah. Yeah, like that's what I mean. Like, what was that, 3-4 years ago now?
Yeah.
So I remember I was struggling to just eat.
Yeah.
Because your body's just been doing it for months.
Yeah. So a nice little reset. So you tick off a mini cut, drop, might be 6 to 10 kilos, whatever it might be. I think it's important to understand that post mini cut, you are going to gain like a decent amount of weight once you get out of the diet, because you've ran your food so low. You're probably going to gain maybe 1, 2, 3 kilos from, even if you go back to maintenance food.
Yeah, you're
not getting fatter. You've just
getting fuller.
You just had some carbs and got a bit of water in you, and so there's a mini cut. Part 3 of Should You Diet would be end of gaining phase.
End of / Dunsky.
So this is
Dunito.
Like, maybe you've done 5-6 plus months of gaining.
I hope they might pick that up.
Oh, nice, man.
Sorry, Mum.
So, you didn't.
Oh, that smells.
Oh, that's good. So you've done at least 5 months of a gaining phase to make sure you've actually made progress.
Yeah.
It could be 9, it could be 12, it could be even longer if you want to.
Again, we've done majority of these.
Yeah.
In fact, I don't think I've pushed over 10 months.
I have, and it got really messy.
Really bad.
It's got very fat. But if you've done a long enough gaining phase, you can obviously be in a pretty similar position that you'd be in when you're deciding if you should do a mini cut or not. So this is where it gets a little bit confusing. Should you do a full-blown diet and completely reset, or should you just do a mini cut?
Yeah.
I think, personally, again, it depends on your goals. You could forever just do mini cuts.
Yeah.
If you really just want to be big and strong and never really be like lean.
Lean, yeah. But I think majority of people, they want to see the fruits of the labour
Yeah.
and actually see themselves with like very low body fat.
Yeah.
So
I think it's pretty easy to decide when to finish a gaining phase. Again, the same things as a mini cut are things starting to go downhill with your appetite and stuff. But really, if I'm being honest, whenever I decide to diet, it's because
you've got an event.
I've got something coming up.
Yeah, like a holiday.
And I'm currently a bit fat, and I don't want to be fat.
Yeah.
So then I'll do an actual diet and pull off a lot of body weight. And if you're looking long term, the kind of benefits of this is it sets you up again for continued growth in a greater manner than just doing a mini cut, because you'll obviously lose more weight.
I'm just gonna go for a wee.
All right, mate. See you in a bit.
Hold up.
We are back.
We're so back.
I can't remember what I was saying.
Back. Shit.
I was saying about finishing a gaining phase. You basically got an event coming up, and you feel kind of fat, and you don't want to be fat anymore.
Yeah. We'll talk about the approach.
Yeah. So that's usually the position that I decide to actually diet.
Yeah.
So again, we'll do this scenario wise. Let's say it's January.
Yep.
You've got a little holiday booked in
January, February, March. Let's say
May. Or we could say June.
That's
July.
6 months. That's a long bloody time.
All right.
Let's say February, March time to like middle of summer.
Okay.
Like.
It's February, you're fat, post-Christmas, but you're
Too
jacked.
many chockies.
because you've done some good training, and you've got a holiday booked in summer. It's time to outline the plan for your diet. So how are you cooking it right at the end of the gaining phase? In fact, you're still in the gaining phase, but you're ready to call it a day.
So I think on here we might have different... We might not, but...
Let's have a massive argument.
Yeah, we're just going to start freaking throwing punches, and I'm probably just going to die in like a second. But for me, right, if you've been in a long-term gaining phase, again, your food's very high, you've got a substantial amount of body fat, but a lot of muscle. A lot of people think, right, okay, you've got, let's say, 12 to 15 weeks, whatever the time frame. I just want a consistent rate of loss throughout that, nice and slow and steady, which is going to get you to the result.
It's easy as well.
It's easy, yeah. But I think when you're in that phase again, like if all your like biofeedback's a bit skewed, I would still rather be pretty aggressive out of the gates. Do you agree with me there?
Yeah, I mean, again, it kind of depends, I think, but
it depends on the person as well. Like you've got to understand this person, and hopefully.
Yeah.
I'm talking from a coach's point of view here, but
hopefully
if you've worked with them long enough, you're going to understand how they want to manage things.
I do like.
Easiest.
I like to set out an average rate of loss across the time period. So let's say you're 100 kilos and you know you need to get to 90 to look. Yeah. In fact, no. Let's do it for a normal non-6'6" person.
Let's go like you're 80 kilos. Yeah. And like you've got 15 kilos to lose.
Yeah.
Over 12 weeks, 15 weeks.
Yeah, so you obviously need to go, okay, I've got X amount of weeks to lose X amount of kilos.
Yeah.
I need to lose this amount per week on average.
Yeah.
So that would be the very linear approach. But I do actually agree. I like the aggressive out the gates and then almost
gliding into it.
Yeah. Land the plane.
Landing the freaking plane.
Yeah, no, I do like that. I do actually agree.
Because at the end of the day, right, you've got body fat there.
Yeah.
So if your food's low, like obviously carbohydrates are going to give you energy. You're probably still going to be on a decent amount of carbs anyway, but obviously you've got body fat there.
Yeah.
So your body's going to use that for energy, and you're going to obviously burn fat, and you're not going to feel like bum.
Yeah.
Whereas if you were to carry on digging at that aggressive rate right up till the holiday, when you're actually like moderately lean, that's when you're going to start feeling like pretty ropey. So I'd rather be aggressive out the gates whilst you've still got that body fat there. You're not going to be feeling like shit. And then when you do get leaner, if anything, you can probably add food in, bring your expenditure down, and you can almost bring like a fresher sort of look to when you do go away.
I agree. And even if you've not done a gaining phase and you're in this like you're overweight, I still do a similar thing anyway, and that just comes from like actually getting a routine. Right?
Yeah.
Like I mean, there's two lads I'm coaching in a minute, Joe and Josh. Josh Tomo, the pizza man. If anyone wants a pizza, drop him a follow.
Pizza man.
Yeah, he's got.
God, that must be tough.
He's got a pizza company with his dad that does like they go to events and set up their like pizza.
Oh, that's pretty
stuff.
cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
So he's dieting and he
Yeah.
has a pizza van. Jeez, that'd be ropes.
But they both started, and it was like they'd not done a gaining phase. They were just a little bit overweight, and they wanted to lose some weight. We still was aggressive. I think they're both maybe 4 to 6 weeks in, and they're both nearly 10 kilos down. So, like, you can be aggressive at the start.
And I bet they feel sound.
Yeah. I mean, he's hitting like 5K PBs basically every week. Joe is like, he did a fitness test at his work. He worked in like airport doing fire stuff. What's it called? Firefighter. And he was like, we were doing some training for this fitness test, and he messaged me one day. He was like, I just did the fitness test twice and didn't beat it both times. So like, even if you're being aggressive, you can still progress your training and you'll be absolutely fine because you've got enough body fat to lose. Yeah. So don't be afraid to like even push to 2 kilos a week for the first few weeks if you've got the body fat. You
can definitely get away with that. Yeah, definitely.
Then as you go through, I actually think it's naturally going to slow down, and you don't need to do much to actually. You don't need to make many changes because it's going to go from 2 kilos a week. You're going to drop some body fat, and then you're going to probably start to plateau a little bit at like 1 kilo a week. And as you go down, it's going to go half a kilo a week, and then you're kind of doing this natural thing anyway. Obviously, if your body weight completely stalls, you're going to have to make a change. But if you're aggressive enough at the start, you can probably go 4, 6, 8 weeks without
having to make another change. Especially if they've had like a gaining phase with you as well. Yeah. And you've worked food up productively. Yeah. Then like.
And that makes it so easy. Like from a mental perspective. Yeah. You don't have to think about much because you just got to keep doing what you've been doing for the last couple of weeks, and it still works.
Like the diet I did before we went to Havar, like the prep part 1, that was easy. Yeah. Like, because again, I had a little bit, I wasn't fat, but I had a little bit of body fat. My food was decently high. So I was able to just be aggressive out the gates. I felt fresh. I felt fine. Still progressed my training every single session. And I got lean like really, really quickly, really easily. The easiest I've ever got. Yeah. That lean.
So if I'm looking from my perspective, I'll do the same and be pretty aggressive. I usually lose, again, sort of like a 10% rule. I can usually lose 10% quite easily. Yeah. And just from making one change.
A minor change. Well, not a minor change, but a change at the start.
Yeah.
Can usually
get
this time rolling.
I think when I was dieting from 117 or 16, whatever it was, I got to 100 pretty easily. Yeah. This time I went from 105 down to 95 pretty easily. Yeah. It's only recently that I've had to make a change to push it on. So yeah. But then if you're not in a great position with your food and you don't have room to make a big change,
it's probably better to take that like linear, gradual approach. But again, it all does come back to you really do want that gaining phase to be productive. We're going to do another podcast, I think, on this, aren't we? About setting up the gaining phase. But, you know, like Keats, for example, right? When he came to me, he said that his food on average was like 3K. So straight away we went down to 2K. His body weight dropped loads, stalled. We then literally, I think his food got reasonably low, like 1.6, 1.7K. But he has enough like training experience and gym experience to be able to manage that, and I knew that. We then got to the body weight we wanted to, where we thought, okay, he's going to be productive now to push up. We'd sorted his routine out, which was going to be the issue as well if we went straight into a gaining phase. And now his food's at like 4K.
Really?
Yeah, and he's been in this gaining phase for like, I think it's like 24 weeks now. So with him, it's just a case now we just keep going because he's still pretty lean. He's got that much muscle, like he never really looks soft. Keep pushing now until like February, and then we're going to diet for summer. And again, that it's going to be, I've said to him in every single week in his check-ins, like, this diet that we're going to do is going to be so much easier because of how productive we've been able to work his food up.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of going back to a gaining phase, but I do see people start to struggle. Let's say they're 3 months into a gaining phase, because there's less going on, and it's kind of like you've got to
monotonous.
look quite a lot further in the future. Maybe not seeing week-to-week changes from a scale perspective or from a physique perspective. You do have to swap your mindset a bit to really invest in the long term.
Yeah. We're probably happy to share, but we were on about this the other week, weren't we, in terms of like client retention rates and things like that. And usually you have a drop off when they've done the diet, they've been gaining for maybe 10, 15 weeks.
Yeah.
Then they start to lose sight of that goal. Yeah. Which is when usually we see like client retention.
Yeah, there's a weird split. So people usually go through a priming phase, go through that first diet, get into a gaining phase for maybe complete 2/3 of it, and then some people drop off there.
Yeah, because they sort of lose that goal.
But if they don't drop off there, which if you're going to a gaining phase, you shouldn't drop off your intensity there or your focus there. If they don't drop off there, they end up staying for like ages, like maybe 18 months.
Well, again, it's a mindset thing, isn't it? I think for some people, again, like we said when we spoke about this, was they need those like quick goals just to keep them going, which is what we said now. Is I always split up my gaining phases into like 15-week blocks where we have goals for the end of each of those shorter phases within the gaining phase. Yeah. Just to keep people like with their head screwed on, basically.
Yeah, to make sure they keep progressing. Yeah.
Because it is so easy to just sort of lose your way.
Yeah.
And get slack with nutrition. Training, you just sort of go in and like you sort of can wing it a little bit. So I definitely think if you are in a gaining phase and you feel like you're a bit bored and it's a bit monotonous, then just set yourself smaller goals throughout. Yeah. And that should help you stay consistent.
Yeah, there's going to be less changes week to week that you'll have to make or that your coach will be making, but that's a sign that it's working.
Everything's going well. Yeah. It's a tough thing as a coach, and you have to remind people that if you're in a gaining phase and you're not making changes frequently, that is a good thing. Yeah. And you're not being a bad coach.
Yeah, again, we were talking about it, weren't we? Like thinking, how can we keep people engaged and keep them progressing? Yeah. It's important to not just do random stuff. Yeah. To like keep clients on board.
At the end of the day, they're paying you to get a result.
Get the best results, yeah.
Like, so there's no point in lying to yourself and lying to them and keep changing things around just to keep them interested.
Yeah, let's say, we'll do a 2-month gaining phase. Well, no, we're not going to do that because that's not going to get you progress.
Yeah. At the end of the day, if those clients can stay on and you can keep them motivated, you're still going to gain better results and be able to showcase better results. Yeah, exactly. Which in the long run is going to help your business.
Yeah. So, business bros now.
Yeah, what the hell? What is going on?
Changing the podcast. The business lifestyle.
Jesus, 35 minutes in.
Kind of cooking. So yeah, is that everything cleared up on the diet post gaining phase? You've gone aggressive, tapering off towards the end. Right at the end of the holiday, make sure you leave a couple of weeks to freshen up, have a bit more food. Again, don't be worried about gaining a kilo, 2 kilos, 3 kilos.
Yeah, it's not going to be body fat. Yeah.
You're just going to look better. Yeah, is there anything else you'd add to that?
We could touch on training throughout that phase.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Why are you being weird?
I just had something in my head, but...
Yeah. Okay.
So, go from the start of the diet again.
So your peak gaining phase going into the diet. So with this, again, people think you've got to all of a sudden, I'm changing the phase, I've got to change my training. Obviously, you're going to change your nutrition, but your training at first should not change. And I see, again, I've been guilty of this. I'm like, I'm going dieting now. I need to take things out like my dumbbell press and things like that. But at the end of the day, I'd try and keep those things in as long as you physically can, because you should have been doing exercises that you get on with and you connect well with, you can progress. And again, that first couple of weeks of losing weight, it's not going to be body fat straight away. Yeah. So try and keep things as similar as possible. When you get to sort of the midpoint or a few weeks in, okay, and you start seeing numbers maybe dropping off on some of these exercises, they're most likely exercises where you need body fat to be a little bit more stable. So like your dumbbell pressing or like a barbell press, a barbell squat, when you're going to need more body fat for stability. So then that's when I'd look to make the first changes, maybe just changing your exercise selection a little bit. Obviously keeping the movements the same. So you could go from a dumbbell press to a flat machine press, or if it's an incline dumbbell press, an incline machine press, things like that.
Yeah, I think this is where a bit of experience comes in, because a lot of it is off feel, because there's always a bit of a balance between being proactive and reactive to what happens to your training. So you can be proactive, make changes earlier than you need to put machines in for more stability. Yeah. Or you can be reactive on the other end of the scale and go, oh no, my numbers are dropping, I need to change now. Actually, you probably want to be somewhere in the middle where if you've got the experience, you can do this yourself. If you've not, send videos to someone of, let's say you're doing a dumbbell press. I will know, maybe I'm in week 5, week 6 of the diet and I'm pressing, I start feeling my elbows shaking a little bit, or just don't feel as strong in my grip or whatever. That's when I'll make the change. Not before and trying to be overly proactive, and not after, at the point where you're actually getting weaker.
You are regressing week on week. I think I've been the opposite, where I've been super, super proactive. Yeah. And realistically, it's probably not it's not been a negative thing, but I could have probably kept in the dumbbell press, which I love, and carried on enjoying it, and probably still being able to progress it most likely. So
if you've got some experience, you can feel it, can't you?
You know when to make a change.
And there's some exercise where you just can't, like a hip hinge.
Yeah, like you can't really help that.
Obviously, I'm going to be stronger at a hip hinge when I'm 120 kilos compared to 93,
it just is what it is.
Whatever.
Yeah.
So there's some movements like that you should keep in, but when there's a like-for-like swap with more stability, then
you should probably go for that.
Yeah.
I think it's important as well, though, with things like the hip hinge, don't be going into your sessions telling yourself it's going to be harder. Yeah. Like, if you do that, it is literally a recipe for disaster. Yeah. Like, you will start regressing because you're telling yourself.
The only thing I do think some people get wrong is, like, throughout the diet, they'll start being more and more aggressive towards the set. Yeah. And they just lose accuracy. Yeah. I've done it before. I just get angry at an RDL. Yeah. And I finished the set and I got a lot of reps. Yeah. And I'm like, now my back hurts.
Yeah, I've just like not moved the weight with any intent at all. I think that was the same with us as well, with like things like the hack squat. Yeah. Right. If you trying to get too overly aroused, the set will go to shit. Yeah. I hate all this like top set songs and like. For me, right, you're just getting yourself overly aroused. Yeah. You're not really, you're overly focused on the set, and you're bringing your emotions into it too much. Yeah. Which again, the whole like catastrophe theory thing, where you're just super aroused and you actually get into the set and you just you're fucked basically.
Yeah, I think it depends on the person, doesn't it? A little bit. Like, and also, let's say you're not wanting to maximize everything in terms of gaining muscle. You just want to get strong, lifting like 1 to 3 reps, and you just want to pick up some heavy tin, then there's probably a place to get aggressive with it. But if you're actually trying to gain muscle
or
not get injured, all of this, then
I don't think we've never been like that, have we?
No, there's probably
that time we were on about where we did do it, and I started to realise, okay, I'm getting emotional over a hack squat there. Like, come on.
But I think that was like influence, because we started getting into like the bodybuilding culture, and actually we've started to sway away from that a little bit recently.
But again, if it works for you, cool, like absolutely do it. Yeah. But I do think, again, people will be like us, they'll see other people doing it and they think they've got to do it. Yeah. So then you're just going into your set, like you said, just ragging a weight around. Yeah. Coming out the set and you're like, okay, I'm not actually feeling this anywhere. Yeah. I've just moved away.
I've got a video somewhere when I was training in the garage, which is really where all this kind of culture that we started getting into it. And I'm like doing an incline press or something, and I'm like getting really like hyped up, and I can see myself getting aggressive with it, and then the set just goes awfully, and I'm angry.
I think
afterwards.
you was like so guilty of that. Yeah. Like, you used to do it on the leg press as well. Yeah. Like you'd want to progress that bad, and you start overthinking it. And I remember saying to you, I was like, I think you're trying to be too aggressive with it. You're trying to progress that much that
I used to do it with the dumbbell press as well,
Yeah.
especially when I was playing a lot of rugby. It was getting a bit harder to progress. I'd be sat there with the dumbbells on my knees, like rocking
you're like,
forward
come
and
on,
back.
come on.
Then the set just
Fall
doesn't
off
go
a
well.
cliff. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do it with my hip hinges.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't work. I'd rather go in calm,
Yeah.
composed.
Have the mindset that you've done everything you can outside of the gym.
Yeah.
You did this same weight or maybe almost identical weight last week. You can definitely do it again this week.
Stop overthinking it. Yeah.
Just get the set in.
Yeah. Just be relaxed.
Yeah.
Don't worry. And if you do regress, like, there's always next week.
Yeah.
Like, it's
the
not
end of the
it's
world.
not the end of the world.
Yeah. So yeah, that's training a diet, I guess.
We could talk about like volume manipulations
Yeah.
and stuff like that. I talked about the last thing. So
Yeah, it's all about recovery, really. So volume is the amount of work you're doing. Some people have different descriptions, but generally it's the amount of sets that you're doing.
Yeah.
We'll say for this discussion. Some people say like volume is doing high rep sets or whatever. Okay, doesn't really matter too much.
It's just the work you're doing.
Yeah, the total amount of work you're doing. So throughout a diet, you basically want to make sure that, like any period really, that you're still recovering from the work that you're doing so that you're actually growing muscle and not just getting more and more fatigued. So generally, again, this is something that I'd be finding that line between proactive and reactive, sitting in the middle, asking yourself, am I still recovering from these sessions? Do I still feel sore when I get to my next session? If the answer is yes to that and you're feeling a little bit weak and it's just not moving the same, then that's when you, throughout a diet, might want to pull your volume back slightly because you can maintain muscle on a ridiculously low amount of volume.
Yeah.
So when you go through a diet, let's say you're starting to feel a little bit tired and maybe the total workload that you're doing in the gym is feeling a little bit too much, there's nothing wrong with pulling volume
down.
back.
Yeah, don't be scared.
Yeah. So that's kind of volume in terms of sets. The other thing I say to clients a lot is when you're looking at productive sets in terms of growing muscle, you can do a massive wide range of a rep range between, let's say, 5 and 25, 30, whatever it's going to be. You're still going to grow some muscle, but think about it as getting reps that are hard as the productive work.
Yeah.
So you're probably going to be a lot better off doing sets that are on the lower end of the rep range as you go through a diet and potentially in a gaining phase as well, because you're not kind of wasting a lot of time and energy on the
Getting
first
to those
10 reps of a set
reps.
before you even get to the hard ones. So a lot of the time I like to basically do a little bit lower rep range in terms of
I think
when I'm in a diet.
Like with me in off season, like some of my second set back off sets, I will like to go for a higher rep range, but again, it's still only like 12 to 15. But now I'm in prep, a lot of my sets finish at around the 10 rep range.
Yeah,
because
it's not often
I've got
that
no
I touch
food.
10 even.
Yeah, got no food, body fat's low. Actually, for me to get above that 10 reps is like pretty hard.
Yeah,
and as in like I'm just going to burn out and not actually effectively reach failure. So, yeah,
potentially lower your rep range a bit.
Yeah.
The only other question I want to ask was, in terms of this whole dieting, bulking cycle, you obviously get some people that diet, then going through a gaining phase, they've built the muscle, then maybe they diet once more, and then it's kind of like they don't want to keep repeating it over and over again, which brings me to a question of, if you're a lifestyle bro and you basically want to look good for summer, and be nice and cuddly and warm for winter, should you be going through bulk cut, kind of 9 months bulk, 3 months cut, 9 months bulk, 3 months cut every year to be lean for summer, bigger for winter, lean for summer, bigger for winter?
It's a tough one, isn't it? It's like, I think for a majority of our like lifting career, we've done this.
Yeah.
And we've both still made really, really, really good progress. And I do think it'll probably be the approach I always use.
Yeah.
Like, again, is it going to be the absolute most optimal way of me looking the best in 2 years' time? No, probably not. But I enjoy it more. And at the end of the day, I'm training for enjoyment and looking good. I don't want to spend all year looking softer than I want to.
Yeah.
So again, person dependent. I don't think there's anything wrong with pushing up 7, 8, 9 months, then pulling back. But again, I'd like to be aggressive with that.
Yeah.
Hold a look that I like over summer, where I'm not absolutely peeled,
Yeah,
but I'm
just
just
sort of
in
maintaining
decent nick. I can hold it throughout summer. I feel good. And again, like over that time, you can probably work your food up as well.
Yeah.
Training's just going to keep getting better. And body weight's probably going to stay pretty similar, which again, you've then set yourself up for another really good push up
Yeah.
over winter. And if your training's not dropping off in your diet, I don't see, there's no reason why you can't still be improving.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it actually allows you to enjoy the winter as well, because, I mean, the only downside is your face gets a little bit fatter.
Yeah.
Your actual body getting a little bit fatter. If you're doing a 7-month, 9-month gaining phase, whatever, it's probably 7 or 8 if you're doing a diet and then maintaining through summer.
Yeah.
Let's say you put on 10 kilos from being lean to putting on 10
Yeah,
kilos. It's like, it's not that big of a deal.
No,
and you actually feel good in your t-shirts. You look big. Like,
Yeah.
I quite like it personally.
And with that, obviously over winter, it's more of a festive time where you're going to be having probably more meals out,
Yeah.
families around, things like that. And when you're in that phase, obviously, it's way easier to manage those things without causing like a detriment to the gaining phase. Like when we're both in gaining phases, it's so easy to go out for a meal or like enjoying Christmas, for example, and not see weight go
Not even
crazy
think about it.
spike. They don't even have to think, just enjoy.
There was a year where I literally lost weight across Christmas because I'd done my gaining phase right.
Yeah.
Christmas was obviously a lot of food in certain meals, but because I wasn't thinking about it, I actually lost weight.
Yeah.
So like it just helps from a mindset perspective.
Yeah, if you think peak gaining phase, you're having like 5 meals a day, your calories might be like, for you, like 4,000, 4,500. If over like the festive period you're having 2-3 meals,
yeah,
you're probably not even reaching your gaining phase calories. So again, that's probably why you're going to have lost weight.
Yeah.
And again, it just allows like a little bit of mental relaxation and But again, I wouldn't recommend going into a gaining phase and then just thinking, this week I can just not think about anything and just relax, because that's not productive. You've got to be 100% in or like sort of 100% off.
Yeah. I think you can make maximum progress from dieting in the summer or just pre-summer and bulking throughout the winter, as long as two things: you don't try and get too lean in the summer, to the point where like your training is actually bad.
Everything,
And on the other side of things, you don't get so fat or you don't slack off in the gaining phase, because people will probably argue with this, but I personally don't think there's much value in doing like a 2-year gaining phase and then a 6-month diet compared to doing a 1-year gaining phase and a 3-month diet.
Yeah,
like both things are halved.
Yeah, you're still spending the same amount of time.
Yeah.
In either phase.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a tough one, because if people then say, but over that 2 years I've been progressing my training so much. But again, it comes back to the point where as long as you're not getting absolutely peeled in those dieting phases and you're still holding your performance and probably still progressing it, if you're managing everything right, you still can be growing muscle.
Yeah, the question is, which I actually don't know the answer to, probably person dependent. If your lean is 70 kilos and you do a bulk over the winter, you get to 80. Let's say you don't diet for summer and you continue bulking and you get to 90. Is that progression that you make from 80 to 90 going to be more than the progression that you make from 70 to 80 twice?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
No, I don't.
And
just from an enjoyment standpoint, I just think it's a better.
Yeah. So as much as this is bro, I quite like doing the diet for summer, gain for winter, and then basically rinse and repeat. Now, this is kind of coming back to the whole dropping off and not having a focus. There's definitely a bit of a drop off in terms of people's focus when they've done a diet, they've done a gaining phase, maybe they've done one more diet, they're in a happy position. There's maybe a bit of a drop off in focus when they've done those 3 phases.
Yeah, they feel like they've achieved what they want to achieve.
Yeah, which is where then you'd go into a maintenance phase.
Yeah.
But that just depends on where your goal sits. So like for us, we obviously just keep doing a little diet, then a longer bulk, because from a goals perspective, it matches up. Yeah, we want to keep building muscle.
and we want to keep enjoying training, keep progressing training. So it makes sense to do that.
But if you've done a bulk, you diet, and then you're happy with it, gain a little bit of body weight, and then there's nothing wrong with
just maintaining
that, and just
if you're happy with your physique,
keep training, but you don't have to push up loads or pull back loads.
Like
just
commit to phases.
Looking good, 365.
Yeah,
that's a freaking good pod, man.
Yeah, 52 minutes.
Yeah, we were gonna do a little overrated versus underrated segment, but I think maybe save that for the next pod.
I think we should, because otherwise it'll end up being maybe an hour and a half long.
Yeah.
52 minutes is good.
Yeah, very good. So,
geez, we are
so good.
The waffle kings.
We thought this would go like 20 minutes.
Yeah, we literally went 20 minutes on that, and then we'll do 20 minutes of the underrated, overrated. All right, it's gone well.
So subscribe to the pod and look out for, not this Friday, next Friday for overrated, underrated.
Yeah, man. We'll cover something else in that pod as well.
Yeah.
Probably the opposite to what we've done today.
Yeah.
With gaining phases.
And then we'll just push back overrated, underrated for another week, because we'll waffle for an hour talking about gaining phases. So yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed the pod. Links are below for whatever decide to put there. And I'll see you in the next one.
Goodbye.
Ciao.
Holy shit, we're really good at this pod bollocks. Holy hell.